this research really looks at exactly where we're building this multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, the digital infrastructure that not only powers things like artificial intelligence, but it's also crucial for other modern day life conveniences such as just sending emails, streaming TV platforms, as well as cloud storage. So we're becoming increasingly dependent on this type of infrastructure. Now, this analysis was done by XDI, which is a company that analyses the physical climate risk. And what it did was look at almost 2,600 planned data centres across the world. So those are data centres that haven't yet been built but are being planned. And what it found was that many of these digital infrastructure hubs around the world are actually going in areas that are vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. So it examined a range of natural hazards like flood and bushfire and cyclones, and it found that Southeast Asia is actually one of the worst hit in the world, with about 20% of data centres at risk of climate impacts. Now, it's important to note that Australia actually fared relatively well overall in terms of the list of countries that were deemed to be at risk with data centres. It ranked about 22nd, but it also saw the steepest increase in risk over time, and is potentially or particularly vulnerable to extreme heat and the changes in extreme heat due to climate change. So that's really prompted warnings from some, including those that put this report together, that we really need to look at where we're building these data centres and take climate change into consideration, or factor that in when we're looking to develop them across the country, which is happening at a rapid pace at the moment. So XDI's Director of Science and Technology, Carl Mallon, said that a lot of the debate around building data centres has been focused on water consumption and energy demand, but he says that physical climate risk is becoming increasingly important. Let's take a listen.
There are plenty of countries which we think are getting this wrong. So far, either by good design or good luck, we're doing a not bad job. But going forward, we've got to be very, very careful to make sure that we're factoring climate change in to our decision making. Otherwise, we essentially are exacerbating the problem.
So there are around 160 operational data centres in Australia at the moment, with 90 in the pipeline. We have a pretty good idea of the capacity forecast up until 2030, but beyond that, it's less clear, just given that a lot of these data centres are still within the approvals phase. So some are saying that this provides a window of opportunity and we can really do the planning around where they go now. The Nicole Bennett's from the Planning Institute of Australia, she says that more front-end strategic planning needs to be done when it comes to data centres.
Data centres are critical infrastructure. They're going to be key to how we reshape our economy. And so for us as planners, it's about making sure we're planning for them in the right locations, and we're thinking about the infrastructure that's needed to power them. So for us, it's really a key question of the upfront strategic planning so that we can make sure we do them well.
Data centre investors and operators are actually using artificial intelligence, which is what these data centres are helping to power, to be able to identify the best locations to build data centres across the country. Now, that includes factoring in climate change, but there are a range of other considerations here. I mean, given that the data centres, they operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they do have quite a high energy demand. So that's something that needs to be taken into account, and they need to have easy access to power. Many actually also use quite significant amounts of water for cooling systems in order to ensure that servers don't overheat. So they need easy access to water. as well as they need to be located near customers and tech support in case something goes wrong. So there's a lot that needs to be taken into account here. Now, the CEO of Data Centres Australia, Belinda Dennett, I also spoke to her, and she said that really Australia has so much potential in this space and investors are looking here to build data centres. And she says that we need to take advantage of the possibilities here.
There are a whole bunch of steps that an operator has to go through to get planning approval. They are extremely robust. In what we're saying is that process needs to be faster, not less rigorous, but faster, because countries are competing. Speed to market is the most critical thing.
Many of the factors when it comes to planning around the location of data centres and factoring in climate change, that does come down to the state governments, but the federal government is aware of some of the challenges here and is taking steps in this space. Earlier this year, the federal government released its data centre expectations, and one of the key elements of that was the encouragement that data centre operators and investors should be co-locating these data centres with renewable energy projects and battery storage in order to offset demand. Now, that's something that the federal government is looking to pursue, and it is understood that last month during a meeting of energy ministers that all states agreed to this apart from Queensland. So the Queensland said that they want more details before they progress in this space, but the federal government is looking to make sure that data centre operators comply.